And we are back with another wonderful edition of the Deal Finders podcast. And I'm excited because I get to talk to y'all a lot through the podcast with just me and other guests and some fun people. But not very often do we get to have my lovely wife, Michelle, on the podcast. And if you are listening to this, you can also watch and see how lovely she is on the YouTube channel. So that's Deal Finders Club on YouTube. Go there, check us out, and subscribe as well. While you're here on your podcast, definitely subscribe and like us here while you're at it. But Michelle, I'm so thankful you're here. Say hello to all of the audience.
Hello, everyone.
So they know a little bit about me because I've done a few of these podcasts and I talk a lot about myself. Mm-hmm. But tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? How'd you get into real estate?
My 30-second commercial?
Yeah, 30 seconds.
I'm Michelle Lucas. I'm originally from Macon, Georgia. Mm-hmm. If you know where that is, I don't know if I feel sorry for you.
If you know where it is, you can hear it and tell that she's from there.
I have a Georgia accent. This is definitely a Georgia accent. So I'm from Macon, Georgia. I'm a graduate of the University of Georgia. Go Dogs.
We're not going to go there. Edit that out.
Yes. So, yeah, I have a history in financial services, and Andrew and I got married and have a slew of kids and a golden doodle, and I've loved all things houses since I was a little girl, watching This Old House with my daddy and my mom and my brother.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, it was a Sunday night program.
I don't know if y'all can hear that, but the golden doodle just sighed in the background. Hopefully he stays asleep and doesn't come bother us while we do the podcast. So, Macon, Georgia, all the way to Columbia, South Carolina. Thankfully, the Lord put us together, and she found me and said, whoa, I got to marry that guy.
That's exactly what happened.
And so how did you end up in real estate? Was this something you ever dreamed you would be doing?
No, never in a million years, never dreamed of. But I will say, like I said, watching This Old House with my daddy as a little girl, we did everything in our house that I grew up in, and then that we moved to when I was 16. We painted, we did wallpaper. We put down tile and flooring. I helped my dad do all kinds of stuff, and that just kind of has come with me. In college, I was a Trading Spaces on TLC.
Oh, gosh.
Avid watcher.
Oh, Lordy.
For those who remember Paige and Ty Pennington from Trading Spaces. And, so my first house, I painted every room a different color, painted cabinets.
I remember that.
Even outside stuff, like I love plants and planting flowers and redoing flower beds. So, but never did I ever think that this would be something that I would do.
Yeah, and now here you are.
Here I am. It's all because of you.
You're welcome. So, guys, just kind of the backstory. We met in 2008. I almost messed that up.
June 20th.
Married in 2010. So by then I had one or two rental properties. Michelle had a property. She bought a house in 2011, which then turned into another rental property. All of that back then, like she said, the first house she moved into, she painted every room. My dad we did the same thing. We just were always working on stuff. Like he, would build a shed or whatever, fix stuff around the house. And so that's kind of how I learned. And in my first house, we destroyed it, took down walls and did floors that we probably shouldn't have been doing it with that skill set that we currently had or we did back then. But we learned a lot. Yeah. And so we met, and was real estate, was investing even a conversation we were having back then?
No, we never actually had a conversation about it. Okay. But Andrew and his sly ways.
Don't let all my secrets out.
Somehow he convinced me in our early dating days to redo the flooring in a bathroom at his rental property. We painted the kitchen, maybe some cabinets.
Yes, we painted a lot.
Do you remember this?
Yes. You talking about the first house?
I'm talking about the one on Texas.
Yes.
You made me redo all the flower beds in the front yard.
You did. Oh, that's right.
Do you remember that?
That was when we first met. We weren't even married.
This house was hilarious.
I totally forgot.
Do you remember all the goggles that we found?
Oh, and the beer cans.
The beer cans and the goggles that we found
That's
in the
right.
front flower beds when we pulled out what was there, which was just really just overgrown weeds.
Yeah.
We pulled those out and found dozens of pairs of goggles and beer cans.
So this is a college rental
what in the
area.
world?
Yes. So clearly, the tenants were avid fans of swimming, or
They're part of the swim team.
yes,
They must have been part of
or
the swim team.
the beer cans and the goggles went together, some sort of drinking game. Oh, I totally forgot about that. So this is why I bring her on, is because she will remind me of all the fun stuff that we've been doing in real estate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was way back then. So I guess we didn't really have a conversation. You just kind of, I enlisted you to come plant stuff and help and fix up the
paint.
house.
I was a painter.
And I guess at that point you realized that if you were going to get into this and marry me, you were stuck doing this. Is that what happened?
I think there were a lot of things about you that reminded me of my dad that were obviously charming, but things that I was like, oh, this is stuff that I know how to do. I grew up doing it with my dad. We enjoyed doing those things together.
That's right.
It was a fun way to spend quality time together.
All right, man. What else you gonna do on Saturday, right? Before we had 3 children and a golden doodle. So she's all excited. She's reliving those memories. She's like, this is great. Let's go back to those simpler times. So that's how I hooked you, right? That was kind of a
Yes.
sneaky hook. So we didn't really have that conversation. What would you have liked me to say in the beginning?
Oh gosh.
Not
I known
about like doing the dishes.
Had
like,
I
talking real
known
estate.
then what I know now, that we were going to quit our jobs and have dozens of rental properties and be flipping houses, kind of all these childhood dreams. Maybe that's what they were, is childhood dreams, like watching all these house shows on TV and going, I'm going to actually be able to do that one day.
Yeah. So would you have liked to have that conversation
Sure.
back then?
Yeah.
All right. Failure for me. Okay. Y'all, so I asked that question because I didn't know where we would be. Honestly, back then, I didn't have an inkling that we would quit our jobs and this would be our job. Back in those days, real estate for me, it was a rental house here and there, and that was going to be our retirement. And I think maybe we talked about that. I was like, yeah, these will be retirement. They'll pay off. Did we even?
Well, I remember we did have a conversation one time about, I think it was like 3 houses that we had that we
Yeah.
said one would be Reynolds' house, one
Yep.
would be Eliza Jane's house, and one would be Emery's house. And we were like, oh, well, why just have 3 when we can have more?
Right.
So, yeah.
That was going to pay for their college was
Right.
the idea. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, because I didn't have, she was in financial services, insurance stuff. You had good retirement plans with your work. I had none. I had 0 options within work. And that goes to show you how little we knew, or at least I knew back then. I thought that's the only way you could retire was to get money from your retirement and savings that your work set up. I didn't know anything about a self-directed IRA
Do it yourself.
or all the things that now we do and teach other people to do, show you how you can take your money and put it to work in real estate and make way more money with a whole lot less fees. So I didn't know that back then, but here we are now. So that was what my thought was, is these would be our, this is how we'd save for the kids' college and then save for our retirement, was through these rental houses. But never did I think we were going to quit our jobs and live off of this. That all changed 2016, 2017 maybe?
I think it's when we really started having those conversations of like, we could actually do this.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And so at that point we started saying, how, if we want to make money from this, how can we do that? And so do you remember what those conversations looked like when we started planning your retirement?
Not all of them, no. I do remember the one that we had, I guess it was probably spring of 18, that one when we were coming back from the beach. Andrew was like, well, at some point this year, you're going to quit your job so that you can manage all the flip properties. That's really kind of where we were, is because we had several flips that we were working on, and it was taking a lot of his time, and to which point I said, well, it doesn't make sense for me to quit my job when you're the one who's doing all of it and you know a lot more about what we're what the process is and what's happening,
Yeah.
you know more than I do. And so I was like, you need to quit your job first.
Yeah, so the original plan was you would quit because Reynolds was going to be in public school,
Right.
no more daycare,
Kindergarten.
cut that cost down,
Right.
and he would be picked up at different times. And so it was like that was kind of a dream you had, was to be able to pick your kids up from school.
Yep.
And so that was the plan. But then we got into flipping a couple houses at a time, dozens a year, 30-something rental houses. Even though we had changed and used or property managers, there was still a lot of work to do. And so that's when you smartly said, why don't you quit, Andrew? And I'm sure I was like, what? Do you remember? I remember feeling like, no, I don't. That doesn't make sense. I was just kind of dumbfounded.
Yeah, I do remember you being kind of like you hadn't thought about it being you who quit
Yeah.
your job first. So, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what ended up happening. So that's what we did, and that was, again, I was very surprised at her wisdom to say, "Why don't you go, Andrew?" And that made a lot of sense. So that's what I did, and then shortly she followed. And so, what advice would you have for young, and I say young as not as an age, but young real estate couples in their business? They're just getting started. What advice would you have for them to kind of go on that little path?
Gosh. I mean, really for us, it was a big leap of faith, I feel like. And, like we were believers and there was a lot of prayer that went into it. And so I guess I would just say if you're thinking of doing it and you have the means to do it, and you're kind of one of those people who's like, kind of tiptoeing in the shallow end.
Yeah. Everybody
likes to give the analogy of a pool, but if you're kind of tiptoeing in the shallow end and you really could like cannonball it into the deep end, really, like you have to go all in. Like you have to make yourself take that leap of faith and go all in and really kind of just be there, be in it so that you can really kind of see what can really happen.
Yeah. So a lot of prayer for sure, and take that leap of faith. So we kind of set out that plan of what it would look like to, quote, retire one of us from work. And what we did was basically figured out how much take-home pay we had to deal with. What do we need to replace? And so our goal was to replace those with the rental income, and then use the flips to generate more revenue to grow.
Right.
So you don't have to do it that way. Like that's not the only recipe to get out of a day job. But that's what we planned and we worked on, and that's what worked for us. So if I had to give advice, it would be to follow what Michelle said, pray about it, have faith in it, and take the leap in full step, like all the way in, and work whatever plan works for you. Work that financial playbook that gets you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
Just making sure that you're setting yourself up to know exactly what you have to replace, right? What is that income you have to replace? And then jump in.
Right.
Jump in and go.
Yeah.
So I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today our business looks completely different. We have multiple businesses in real estate. Sometimes we don't even know what we're doing, and I'm so thankful for Michelle that she keeps my visionary brain grounded. Sometimes I have all these
hook you and pull you back in a little bit.
a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts, like, let's do this, let's do that, and she's like, no. She's there for me to calm my brain down.
We're a good balance.
Yes.
We're a good balance.
So as we grow, though, who knows where we're going next? What are you enjoying now about the business, about where we are, what we're working with, who we're working with?
Gosh, I feel like one of the things I'm really enjoying is the people on our team. We have some really awesome, just really driven people on our team, which is refreshing and just also a huge blessing. Lots of energy.
Yes.
Lots of little rays of sunshine that come walking through our door on the daily, so that's great. Another thing that I enjoy is just kind of really watching you teach others. the business and what we're doing, and how they too can kind of experience what we are, which is like financial freedom on one hand, but then also just us allowing ourselves to be in charge of our calendars, which is huge for a mom of 3 kids that have very active schedules.
Yes, they do.
And then I would say the last thing would be I still love the flips. I still love learning more of the trends of things that are happening in renovations and upgrading homes. So that's something that I still enjoy doing, is kind of the dreaming of what a house could look like.
Yeah, I love that. I agree. I think the number one for me is definitely the team. I mean, I enjoy the team. The folks that are here and the team that we have on our team, but then also the Deal Finders team, like the people in the club that were really hands-on with getting through their deals, finding the first couple of deals in the Deal Finders Club, but also the Deal Finders Live, our live meetups where we see people every week that either come to our office or go to those events, and that gives me a lot of energy. Just the folks, and seeing how many people are from where we met them are now getting deals after deals and changing lives, and there's so many people in these groups that we're a part of that we've just seen them just blossom, you know, just take off. Because, guys, I'll tell you right now, one of the biggest things I have to say is real estate, you don't have to be special. You don't have to be special, even though I think I might be special, and I know Michelle's special. You don't have to be special to do real estate and to succeed in it. Really, if you get teamed up and get in a group, get with some people that will help you, push you, guide you along the way. We've seen it happen with all kinds of people.
Yep.
Just go out there and make brand new lives for themselves, their families, changing generational wealth. So that's one of I think probably my favorite thing about where we are today.
Yeah.
All right, so the podcast here is geared towards people wanting to find deals. So this is Deal Finders Live. Michelle is she does kind of our behind the scenes work, right? She's doing payroll. She just wrote a whole bunch of checks today, but she sees how our team is finding deals. So people that are listening to this podcast, they might be looking for that first deal, and they got to get out there, and they don't know exactly where it's going to come from. They don't know exactly what to expect. What advice would you have for somebody that's trying to do that?
For somebody who's trying to find a deal?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Let me just tell you, driving for dollars. You kind of talked about this the other night at our deal finders meeting, and you called it walking for dollars.
Yes.
But honestly, everywhere I go, whether it's dropping the kids off at school, to go into a baseball practice to gymnastics, to the grocery store, I mean, I see a house almost every single day that I'm texting Andrew or somebody on our team, look at this road, find this house. And I'm like, figure out who the owner is. Because, I mean, there are just so many out there that as you're driving by, you think, oh my goodness, there can't be anybody that lives there. And if they are, then they're not really present.
Right.
You know.
They need help.
Right. Somebody needs help.
Some kind of distress going on.
Sure.
And she's right. She does send me texts all the time. She's like driving by. I'm like, I'm driving too. Why are you texting and driving? Stop it.
Yeah. So that would be my one piece of advice, is if you're actually looking for a deal, open your eyes while you're driving around your neighborhood. Yeah.
And don't be in a hurry. Like, pull over, write down the info, get the phone number, call, whatever it is. So a tip or a resource that we always tell people is dealmachinevip.com. We'll have the link in here. But that is where you can go. I think there's a free trial or something like that. But that's the app we have on our phones. Michelle hasn't downloaded the app. I don't know why.
He did send me an invitation.
She does have the invitation.
I just feel like it's going to make me have to do something else.
She doesn't want to have to do the work. So
I'm going to defer to you.
That's right. So you can just text it to me. It's totally fine. But our team has the app. And so all you have to do is push the button and it'll send mail. You can push the button and find the phone number and call the owner or whatever it is. So That's huge. I have it on my phone all the time. I have it open all the time. The kids are always like, Dad, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm putting this house in. I got to put it in.
I'm trying to make you some money so you can get some shoes.
I know, right? Those kids grow out of shoes so fast.
They do.
All right, so y'all, this has been a wonderful treat. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast,
thanks
Michelle.
for having me.
We'll have to do another one of these.
Maybe.
We'll go a little deeper into how much she loves working with her husband right across the room.
It's a good time. Did he mention that we share an office?
I didn't mention that. We do share an office. Maybe we'll give a tour one day. We share an office. Our computer screens look at it like are back to back. So sometimes she's standing up and sometimes I'm standing up and we're right here working all day long.
Yep.
And you love it.
I do.
And although she's like, when we get home, like, go away. No, I'm just kidding. Anything else?
No.
You're good?
I'm good.
I feel like she was going to say something. Y'all, this has been a lot of fun. I really enjoy speaking and hanging out with you, lovely lady. But this has been a Deal Finders podcast. If you want to learn more, dealfindersclub.com is where you can go. We have all kinds of resources and links there. The YouTube page, the Facebook page, you can find us from there. If, and let me just tell you guys that all of the instruction and the information for going out and wholesaling or buying rental properties, there's a lot of that on the internet already. It's there, right? It's in YouTube or podcasts like this. So go learn what you can. Soak up the knowledge that you can. But when you're ready to take action, you want to join a group. You want to be local. You want to get with people that are going to help you move forward. You can join our club. You can join the Deal Finders Club. There's an application online. If we like what you say, we might invite you in. But if not, you can find somewhere to join in, get with a group that's going to push you along. Because the thing with real estate is it's like always there. And so sometimes when you're just getting started, there's that temptation to say, well, it'll be there tomorrow. Guys, you got to get started. You got to take action today.
No better time than now.
No better time than now. So turn off this podcast and get to work. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.
And pause. All right, I'm going to do an intro. Do you want to sit here for the intro?
Sure. See what you say about me.
I'm going to see what okay, let me think about it. All right, guys, welcome back to the Deal Finders Club podcast. Today's very special guest is my favorite person in the whole world, and she's sitting here beside me, grinning ear to ear. It's my wife, Michelle Lucas, and she's going to talk about what it was like for us to get started, raising a family, a whole bunch of kids, puppy dogs and houses. What is it like getting started in real estate as a young, growing family? So I'm excited to get into this. She's going to share some fun tips and tricks for you to get started as well. Let's jump in. Bam. Did you like that?